So, hello. Tomorrow is the opening of the module on biology, which I found very illuminating myself. I learned a lot from it. I'm a woman that was born in the 50s and learned about, well, I didn't learn about gender, frankly. Didn't learn really about biology until I was in grade six or something. So, a lot of these ideas to women of my generation and men of my generation probably are if not new, they're startling probably, and uh, sort of upend a lot of the kinds of socialization that we received in the 60s and 70s, for instance, where you were born a girl or a boy. That was it. There was no discussion whatsoever of any of the kinds of issues that we saw in the resources in this module. And so this has been illuminating, like I said, for me. So I want you to take a look at a video that I found on YouTube, which takes a piece of the confirmation hearings for the United States Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Jackson Brown. And I mentioned it in an earlier module post, in which she is shamelessly, in my opinion, and really inappropriately grilled by Senate Republicans who attacked her record and her personality and her values and her race and her sex and her gender and everything that you can imagine, and made the most outrageous kinds of assertions about her. One of the ploys that they used to try to trip her up, and this was by a Tennessee senator with grandchildren that she kept referring to, uh, was to get her to answer the question, define a woman. And she answered, the Republicans would say she avoided the question, and she kind of ducked and dived and that kind of stuff. But what she was really saying, I think, was that you can't answer that question in law. You can't answer it in medicine, as we have seen in this module. You can't answer it strictly by biology, because there are all these continuums and so many kinds of interactions of chromosomes and hormones and in utero environments and just all kinds of things, that it's just really impossible to answer that question on really any kind of basis, which again is a revelation to people of my generation, for example. So I'm going to post the YouTube link in. Where will I post it? Where will I post it? I'll post it in all of the no, I'll post it in announcements, so you can take a look at it there, just in case I miss any of the discussion groups. And it's about 8 minutes long, and you can see what her responses to that are and how um, it, she doesn't try to deflect the question so much as she tries to get her questioners to acknowledge that it's a question that's that has no that has nothing to do basically with who she's going to be as a Supreme Court judge, or how she's going to rule on various things. But they take that further. So I'd like you to really take a look at this and how biological sex, and gender really kind of are interpreted by various ideologies, and what that can lead to in positions, for example, of a Supreme Court justice in the United States. And I would dare to suggest that those things, we haven't seen them in Canada, but they're there. And sooner or later are going to get raised. We've already seen how some of this discourse has made its way from America to Canada. So something to really think about, and something to talk about and discuss in the module when you look at it. Now, just a little bit of housekeeping. Stephanie and I met today, and we talked about some of the issues we're seeing. I understand that some of you were not able to view several of the videos where others of you were able to. So I don't know what to say about that. So I will take it to Tech One, my husband, and we will try to determine that. And if perhaps if I post the link in a different place, that will help. I don't know, but he'll help me with that. And that was for the introduction to the course and module 4, I think it was, that Stephanie mentioned. So I will take a look at that, see if I can figure out why they're not available, make them available to you. Try different different kinds of platforms if I have to. And we'll see what happens with this video. The discussion groups are going really well because we opened them up and we took off the due dates and the cutoff dates and that kind of thing. We're beginning to see that you're not scattering, that's not the right word, but you're beginning to pick up conversations and modules that the rest of your group or some people in your group may not be uh, looking at yet. That's okay. Right? Work at your own pace. Go back and take a look, if you can, at some of these discussions and see whether or not you were the first one there, nobody responded, you moved on. Go back and take a look. See whether other people have now responded to you and you can pick it up again. And so we've opened them all the way up, back up to one. And so because the ideas are interconnected and they're scaffolding, but they're at the same time circling back in kind of a spiral, actually, and adding content and adding ideas and concepts and expanding things as they go. You might see some new insights. You might hear some new narratives from your classmates, and which I find absolutely fascinating and really thought-provoking. So make sure that you don't just keep moving forward, but go back and take a look at what's going on. We've seen about a dozen challenge assignments now being submitted. We've had some poems, we've had some presentations, we had an experiment, we had somebody that developed a tool. So there's been a range of things that we've seen so far, and I really encourage you to keep thinking really creatively and innovatively, and hopefully you will give us permission to post these examples of challenge assignments in a gallery that we can make available also the next time that we offer the course. So people are a little bit taken aback sometimes at Be Creative and like, oh, creative. I don't have a creative bone in my body, but you do. And I just really think that they're way more interesting and useful than a written assignment personally. Never too keen on the written assignment, although there are some in the course. It's not always the best way to show what you've learned or how you're thinking critically about some of the concepts in the course, and some of them are quite difficult actually, so and challenging and new. So it's just a way to sort of explore different facets of learning cognitively and effectively, and artistically, emotionally, from a psychomotor point of view. There's lots of different ways of understanding. So carry on, doing a great job so far. We're almost halfway through. We are, I think, halfway through the course. I know, again, it's really compressed, a lot there. Some of you've got jobs, some of you are taking another course, some of you, are just carrying on with a really, really busy life, and it's really intense and challenging and hard. I get it. So that's why we've opened up these deadlines and are encouraging you to just do pay most attention to what most interests you, I think. Now, the rhetorical précis does have a deadline at the end of the course, but as I put in one of the general announcements, it is a good idea, if you can do this, to submit it as soon as you are ready to tackle it. If you do that, then we're going to be able to give you feedback on your writing much in advance of the final exam. If you post it the week before, then we're looking at 65 rhetorical précis. We're not going to get to all of them before the final exam. So your best chance at getting good feedback is going to be if you post earlier rather than later. As always, if you have questions or issues, please email either me or Stephanie. If, however, the answer is in the syllabus and you need to reread the syllabus, we're going to stop responding. So make sure that it's not in the syllabus before you post the question to us, because we need that time that we would have responded to that to say, yes, it's there, look in the syllabus. We need that time now to be looking at the challenge assignments and contributing and observing the discussion modules. Great, you're doing great. Really enjoying the examples that you're providing, the stories that you're sharing in the discussion modules. I know some of the examples are pretty personal. They're intimate. So I want to remind everybody again that you're building trust within these discussion groups, and what happens in the discussion group should stay there, right, and not be shared outside of them, so that it's a safe space for everybody. So that's it for me. I'm going to post this link to the YouTube of the confirmation hearing of Ketnaji Jackson Brown, and hope you get something out of it. It's quite fascinating to watch the politics at work, and a little alarming, to be fair. Be sure to go out and vote. Your vote is really, really important. So I'll talk to you in a few days.